All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle a question today that is so basic, so fundamental, that we almost never actually stop to think about it. But once you do, well, it changes everything you thought you knew about language. I mean, really, think about that. What does a word mean? We use thousands of them every single day. We use them to build bridges, to start arguments, to fall in love. But what is that invisible stuff that we're actually passing back and forth? What is meaning?
You know, the first answer that probably pops into your head is the most obvious one. A word is just a label, right? It's a name for a thing. This is probably how you learned your first words. Your parents pointed at something and said its name. And that's exactly where we're going to start our investigation.
So, this idea that words are basically just names for things in the world, we'll call it the naming theory. And it's an old idea. I mean, it goes all the way back to Plato. And it just feels right. It feels like common sense. But as we're about to find out, common sense can be a little bit deceiving. And you can see why this theory is so compelling at first. I mean, it seems to work perfectly for names, right? The word Paris just names the city in France. John Smith names a person. And it totally nails how a little kid starts building their vocabulary. You point, you say cat, and boom, the label sticks. It's clean, it's simple, it feels right. Okay, but let's push on this a little bit. Let's look a bit closer. Because as soon as you do, this nice, simple, elegant idea, it starts to get some serious cracks. Actually, it pretty much falls apart completely.
And here is problem number one. The naming theory seems to work okay for some nouns, but language is so much more than that, right? What about all the other words? You can point to a person, sure, but can you point to the thing called attractive? Can you point to run?
Think about it. When you see someone running, you see the person and you see the action they're performing. But you can't, surgically remove the running part from the person and hold it up as a separate object to be named. The thing that the word run is supposed to be a label for, it just doesn't exist on its own. And the problems just keep stacking up. What about a unicorn? There's no object in the real world for that word to name. What about huge, abstract ideas like love or nonsense? You can't point to those. And even with real physical things, the world isn't cut up so neatly. I mean, where exactly does a hill stop and a mountain begin? And this isn't even universal. Different languages carve up the world in totally different ways. Some Inuit languages, for example, have many different words for different kinds of snow, where in English, we just kind of have snow. But here it is. This is the absolute knockout punch for the naming theory. For a long time, people used the phrase, the evening star, to name a bright object in the evening sky. And they used the morning star for one in the morning sky. Well, turns out they both named the exact same object, the planet Venus. Now, here's the crucial part. If meaning was just the object a word names, then the evening star and the morning star should mean the exact same thing. But they don't, do they? They clearly have different meanings. So meaning has to be something else. So, if meaning isn't the object out there in the world, the next logical place to look is, well, in here, inside our heads. Maybe meaning isn't a thing. Maybe it's a concept. This idea is called the conceptual theory. It basically says that a word, the symbol, doesn't point straight to the thing out in the world, the referent. No, there's a middleman. The word triggers a concept in your mind, and that concept is what connects to the real-world object. This feels a lot more sophisticated, right? It totally handles things like unicorns and love. They're just concepts in our heads. Problem solved. But in trying to solve the problems of the naming theory, this conceptual theory, it creates a brand new one. It's what you might call the ghost in the machine problem. And honestly, it might be even worse. Just think about it for a second. What is a concept? Is it a picture? Is it a feeling? A definition? And more importantly, how could we ever know? How could we ever study it? I can't look inside your head to see your concept of a chair, and you can't look inside mine. By their very definition, they are completely private and totally inaccessible. And that's the fatal flaw. The linguist, F.R. Palmer, put it perfectly here. This theory doesn't actually explain a thing. It just takes the problem, the meaning of the word dog, and it relabels it as the concept of dog. And then it hides it away in the black box of the mind where no one can ever look at it. It's a completely circular argument. Now, some people might say, well, hang on. Physics talks about unobservable things like neutrons all the time. And that's true. But there is a massive difference. Physicists came up with the idea of neutrons because that theory has incredible predictive power.
It explains things we can observe. These concepts in semantics, they don't predict anything. They don't explain anything new. They're just a phantom copy of the word we started with. So where on earth does that leave us? We looked for meaning out in the world. That was a dead end. We looked for meaning inside the mind. Another dead end. This suggests we need to do something radical. Maybe we need to stop asking what meaning is and start asking what meaning does.
The whole time, the problem wasn't in our answers, it was in the question itself. By asking, what is meaning, we were tricking ourselves into looking for a thing, an object, a mental ghost. We were treating the word meaning as if it worked like the word chair.
So let's try reframing the question. Instead of searching for an object called meaning, what if we ask, how do words become meaningful? This changes absolutely everything. It suggests that meaning isn't a static thing a word has, but a dynamic function that a word performs. And this brings us to the philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein, and this just famous game-changing idea, the meaning of a word is its use in the language. Don't look for a hidden definition or a secret concept, just look at how people actually use the word in the real world.
And this is really the key takeaway. To know the meaning of the word game, for example, isn't to have some perfect abstract concept of a game stored in your brain. No, it's about knowing how to use the word correctly, to ask someone to play a game, to know the difference between a game and work, to understand what it means to game the system. Meaning is competence. It's a skill you learn.
So we'll end on this. If words are tools that we use, not labels that we have, what does that actually change? Well, it might mean that when people are arguing, they're not really disagreeing about facts, they're disagreeing about how to use a word, like justice or freedom. It means language isn't just a map of reality. It's part of the toolkit we use to build our reality. It's not a reflection of the world, it's an action in the world. Now, what does that change for you?